Hey guys, welcome back to our channel, Kiki About TV. I'm Ward.
And I'm Clark, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And today we'll be discussing Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 5.
But first, as you guys already know, we have to start off every Kiki About TV with a drink. Tonight's drink is called the Good Vibes. I have a video showing you how I made this drink, so here's to the episode. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So we're into episode 5, and the couples are waking up. And so as the couples are waking up, we see Mark and Lindsay are together. And so Lindsay is in her confessional, and she's saying that her and Mark have an undeniable chemistry. And the producers ask Lindsay if they have consummated the marriage, and Lindsay becomes very giddy, very coy, as Ward would say.
Yes. So giggly, and she was all smiles about that question.
Yeah, but here's my thing. Now, during the marriage, on the way to the wedding, Lindsay had a couple of drinks and pulled out her tatas and showed the producers. And so now you want to act coy. And you don't pull out your tatas, but now you want to act coy. And act like a good girl. She doesn't tell.
Yeah, Lady Lindsay never tells. Whatever. Anyway.
Okay. And so they're talking about their day, and they're talking about what they're gonna do. And so Lindsay says that she wants to go and make pina coladas, and Mark says, "Hey, I think we should really take it slow. We don't want to have a reenactment of our first day. Let's just kind of ease into, having these drinks."
Right. And so little Lindsay could not read between the lines to what Mark the Shark is saying.
Right.
Slow down with the beverages, baby.
Yeah, I think throughout this episode, you will see that he's giving her gentle nudges as to say, hey, I think you need to kind of calm down a little bit. But I don't think she's picking up what he's putting down. And so Lindsay says, well, when on that first day, I was just so tired. And Mark reveals that she had 3 bottles of wine.
Whoa.
Not 3 glasses, 3 bottles of wine. I can't even make it past 2 glasses of wine, let alone a glass and a half. And she had 3 bottles of wine, which probably explains why she was so antagonistic and not herself while they were getting ready to, board the buses or getting on the plane. And that's why she was getting into it with the Olajuwon.
Yeah, I agree. Lindsay has got to slow down and stop just showing up in different versions based on what she's had to drink for the day, because we're starting to really see this version, that version. We don't know what Lindsay we're going to get.
Right. I definitely think that there's a sober Lindsay, and then there is a Lindsay that shows up when she's had way too much to drink.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. And so next we see Jasmina and Michael. They are waking up. And so Michael brings Jasmina breakfast, and then he gives her coffee, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah, it was a nice gesture. I'm not sure maybe if Jasmina's not a morning person.
Right.
But the reception of her husband doing this sweet gesture for her was just a little bit lackluster. Yeah. And I think because Michael can be so introverted and all of those things, like, come on, girl, share a little thankfulness and, make him feel good.
Yeah, I think she was still kind of upset, truthfully, about the little tiff they had the night before. And I think that was his olive branch of trying to bring her, breakfast and then some coffee. And he was like, well, I'm going to try to get you to get some coffee or drink coffee. And she was just like, well, I just kind of like iced coffee with caramel. Not a thank you. Not. I mean, the sister is giving him a hard time now. Truthfully, I can understand that she's upset with Michael because I think she mentioned his tone and the way that he's saying things. But I think sometimes, it's how you can engage people. Mm-hmm. I think he's really trying. So then he goes on to say that he had been up all night thinking about it and that he was really trying. And so he kind of explained that he overthinks things and he feels like, he overthinks things because he expects the worst for things to happen. And she's like, okay, in her confessional, she's like, well, his sisters told me that he overthinks things and that if he keeps overthinking things, then that's going to be the end of the relationship. And I kind of feel like she's pulling a Alyssa, if you ask me. Like, she's having a fixed mindset. Like, I don't think this is not a deal breaker. This is just a matter of a communication issue. And I think, in most relationships, there are communication issues. You have to learn a person's communication style. And I think that's what's going on there.
Yeah. And I mean, and they're just 3 days in, like, they have to remember that, you can't expect to just get this glorious thing going on in all of 72 hours. It just doesn't happen that way.
No. Yep. And so, he's like, I don't want to ruin this. I'm trying really hard. I want to make this work. And then her rebuttal was, well, if you keep overthinking it, you are going to ruin it.
Rude gal.
So I'm thinking in my head, like, what would have been a good response to kind of engage, this conversation, because Michael mentions that he doesn't think that they're making progress. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking maybe she could have said something like, okay, what's the best way that you feel like, I can help you with overthinking? Something like that, to show him that, hey, I'm a little interested in working with you and seeing how we can work this out. And sister she being cold.
She better learn how to meet in the middle.
Yeah,
compromise. We're going to see as we go through this episode, and I'm willing to predict for the future that either some are going to learn how to compromise really quickly, or meet their demise as couples.
Yeah. Yep. So then we have and Chris. So Alyssa wakes up and she's saying, I don't know why, I was dealt these cards and how did this happen to me? And then Chris is saying, basically he feels like every time he challenges Alyssa, she feels like he is betraying her or disrespecting her because he's challenging her. And you know what, to be honest, I honestly think that's what Alyssa needs, because it seems like over the years, Alyssa may have been able to get her way.
Oh, let's call a thing, Clark. She is totally spoiled. She acts like a complete brat, and she takes out everything on this guy. And, Chris is so gracious. I think he sits there. He's trying to understand her, so he's accepting a lot of it, which is a lot. But she has got to realize that whatever her perception was, or whatever her expectation was, or even whatever she thought that the experts were supposed to do for her, ultimately she's gonna play the most vital role in making it work. It's not gonna be on anybody else.
Right. And that's what we were saying in our previous episodes, that in order to really kind of make it through this process, you have to really just trust the process and have an open mind. And so here's my thing. I feel like she's coming off as if she's the victim in this situation, as if someone has done something to her, when at the end of the day, you really put yourself at the mercies of other people choosing someone for you. And, it's not a matter of somebody doing something wrong to you. You signed up for this process. And
she did. And,
And did.
Right. And so later on, I think she throws it off, right, onto the experts, because she does say that she thinks that they got it wrong.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and so my thing is, in this, what I'm thinking when I'm watching this, I'm saying, do what's best for you and do what's best for Chris, and do the mature thing. If you know this is not going to work, go ahead and pack your stuff up and go on home, because I really don't think the way that she's treating him is fair. He does not deserve this, and my heart is breaking for him.
Yeah,
because it's so unfair, and you can tell that he really wants this, and she is really treating him like something is wrong with him.
Yeah, and some of her statements, right? Like, I don't know who she thinks she is, honestly. Right. And I feel like also she's really not showing any maturity to be the age that she is to just react the way she's reacting, to say some of the things she's saying about him. It feels like high school mean girl.
Very much mean girl. Yeah, very much mean girl. Cool. Okay, and so then we move into day 3 of marriage, and then we have Steve and Noi. And so Noi says in her confessional that they have not had sex, but she does see that they will have sex in the near future. Noi, Steve don't have no job. Wrap them cookies up, okay?
Let him prove that he has made a true commitment to being a husband and a leader. And if Noi works, and I think Steve needs to work. Like the whole nomadic, floaty type of lifestyle, it doesn't really fit the stability I think that Noi is looking for. Right. And the girl is a hopeless romantic. Like, she really wants this. She's really into this, but Steve's just a little too flighty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she said that she didn't think that she would fall in love again. I like Steve. I think he has a really nice personality. I just think that she needs to think with her head in this situation, because at the end of the day, him not having a job could really pose as a problem. Absolutely. And if you've already allowed your emotions to get involved and you already knee deep into this thing, are you going to be able to pull back?
Oh, yeah.
When the light bill
is due.
Okay.
Because that love will not pay those bills.
It's not paying the bills, sis. Yes, and so then they began to talk about camping, and so as you can, Steve, and you can see his whole life just left his body when she said that she didn't want to go camping, and he was like, "Well, we can just camp, on the ocean." She was like, "Well, as long as they have like a shower and indoors, then we can go camping." No, that's not camping, ma'am.
Well, in other words, Steve, she's not a camper.
And again, producers, I'm not at this point, I'm not even gonna keep blaming this on the experts, because I feel like the producers have a lot to do with this. And at the end of the day, why would y'all put this girl with this man, which we know he done spent 4 months in his car down in the Florida Keys
camping.
And this girl like, I don't want no parts.
She didn't.
He's looking for a companion to get out there on that road when he gets ready.
Well, someone has to work. So I think that has been the thing. He doesn't realize, a weekend adventure maybe, but just like a camping lifestyle, that's not going to be a fit for Noi.
Yeah, Noi said no. She said, I'm
glad she stood up for herself.
And that will be a no for Noi. Okay?
Right.
Okay. And so then we see Olajuwon and Katina waking up. And so Olajuwon asks Katina, he's like, okay, well, how's my, my cuddle game? And she was like, hell no, it wasn't good. Okay. And why are you at it? Get you some Botox for all that sweating that you're doing.
I cannot believe Mr. Suave is really Mr. Sweaty. Olajuwon, you in the bed sweating out the sheets, bro?
I said, not the Botox. Not the Botox. But see, this is also an indication that I think Olajuwon may have an issue of shifting into intimacy. Because some people are used to just those one night stands and not having that form of true intimacy. And so, now he has to shift from being that playboy to being that man that is offering, that intimacy mentally, the intimacy physically. And so that I'm interested to see how that's going to play out this season, because boo, you can't even cuddle.
He doesn't know how. That sweat ain't helping either.
Mm-hmm. He said she was hot. That may be why all that sweat coming about.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay, so then the couples decide that they want to spend the day together. And so Mark and Lindsay decide to go on and have an activity. And guess what Lindsay wants to do?
I bet you it involves wine.
Alcohol. She wants to go and she wants to make pina coladas. Okay. So they're down to the bar.
Wait, hold on, pause.
Okay.
Does Lindsay even really need a class on how to make any drinks? I don't think Sister Girl needs any help in that department.
She could probably host a class.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. But it's all for fun. So they go, they have the activity. Mm-hmm. But, I can appreciate Mark because he stays even keel and he stays with the same mantra, though.
Yeah.
Take it slow, watch it, we're going to jump in, we're going to make the pina coladas, we're going to make one or two, we may just drink one, and then we're going to
slow it down.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that, like, at this point, pay attention to all the activities that the couples engage in and what their interests are. And so Lindsay's interest is alcohol, which might be very well a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're making their pina coladas and Mark is doing his little dance. I thought it was cute. I did. He seemed like a little nice guy. And so as they are making the pina coladas, they start talking about their past. And so Mark starts talking about his first love outside of college. He met his first love, and he talks about how she had a drinking problem. And he talks about how she went from being in love with him to just loving him to not being in love with him. And then he talks about another relationship, how the other person was not treated well due to a pregnancy, I think. And then Lindsay says to him, I just think that you're just
a people pleaser.
And I think he said that women are drawn to him because they've been done so wrong, and they just are drawn to him, which I think because he has this nurturing, caretaking type of personality, women are drawn to him.
But Mark needs to watch it because he doesn't want to wear that cape and be Captain Saver.
Yeah. And so Lindsay goes on to say, well, every engineer I dated, they were just drunks and cheats and they steal. That's not everybody. You can't just put everybody together like that.
And by profession?
Yeah.
Who does that? Or was it like on, I don't know, engineerdating.com? Like, why were you only finding engineers, Lindsay? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think at that point, I think we talked about this in our previous reviews. We were wondering how Mark felt about Lindsay and the drinking. And I think he's subtly telling her how he feels. That to me, she should have, her antennas should have went up and said, okay, well, he really doesn't like, someone who drinks.
Or drinks too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So then we see Olajuwon and Katina, and they're working out. Very much being, to me, rude to Katina as they are working out. And of course, this is his passion. This is his area of expertise. And you can see on Katina's face, she's like, I'm not with it.
Slow down. Back down. Rude. he did, in true Olajuwon fashion, he did too much. And I'm waiting to see when it's gonna dial back a little bit, or I mean, can this guy be like this over the top this whole process?
Yeah.
I wonder.
It was a bit much, but I think she handled it well. And I think she handled it well in front of the cameras.
She's very aware of the cameras.
I think she's very aware of the cameras. And so I think she gently put him in his place. But it was over the top, like, we don't smile and we don't do this and this is serious and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay.
Well, of course it comes out later what this really was all about. So
Yeah. Okay, and so then we have let's see, who do we have next?
Chris and Alyssa.
So then we have Chris and Alyssa. And Chris says he feels like every time he asks Alyssa a question, it pushes her away more. What do you think, Ward?
I think that it would not matter what Chris said, how he said it. She has made up her mind that he does not fit the description. He does not fit the bill, and she's somehow there going through the motions, so to speak. But I just really don't even understand why she hasn't just signed off, taken off her mic, packed her things, and just left, rather than be in the misery that she portrays to be in for herself, and to inflict that on him. I think that there's just really, honestly, nothing that Chris could do to satisfy her. Even when, they had a fun moment with the paddle boarding, he may have fallen 70 to 80 times. I don't know. I lost track of count, but he kept with it. He worked with her. He showed it. She stood up. She looked halfway happy during that time. But as soon as it was over, back to regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, Alyssa. It did give us a little bit, the viewing audience, a little bit of a false, the viewing audience, a little bit of a false hope. Because I said, well, maybe she woke up, she was feeling a little bit different. Maybe she's going to give him a try. No.
Nope, no such luck.
So they sit down and they begin to talk, and then, Chris says to her, he's trying to engage her again. He's like, I want to apologize because I didn't tell you how great of a person you are. Again, Chris, don't let anybody mistreat you.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't give them permission.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, Chris, I don't want her to think that the way that she's treating him
is okay.
And so but I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to gauge her. He's trying to, give her compliments, trying to soften her up a little bit. And then she says, well, I really feel like the experts got it wrong. And then she said she went to a psychic, and the psychic told her that her future husband was going to have pretty eyes, and he was going to have a tattoo of an eagle, I think it is.
I don't understand, first of all, why she is doing all these different things, like trying to find someone to give her exactly what she's looking for. She's on this show, she's made a checklist. She went to the psychic, she made a checklist. And so now that she's here, she has this whole concept set up in her mind, and it's not right. I mean, a psychic, and this is what the psychic told you. So did the psychic tell you would be coming on Married at First Sight? Or where were you supposed to find this eagle tattooed guy?
Again, so we talked in the last video about I really feel like, or was it was our first review that I talked about, that I thought that in just my opinion that Alyssa is an overthinker, but I think she's also indecisive. And so with her being indecisive, I can see her going to a psychic or going to the experts in Married at First Sight and somebody choosing for her. And now to me, it seems like she's having a tantrum because you're putting your whole life in the hands of a psychic, in the hands of the experts, and it's not turning out the way that you want it to turn out.
Yeah.
You know, so I think more than anything, she has to learn that at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. Thus her buying 10 wedding dresses, because she can't make a solid decision. And so she has in her mind, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, this is not working, this is not, and so again, like we said previously, going into this process, you have to have an open mind, you have to trust the process. But to go into this situation, they're saying that she had this very, specific list what she wanted, and they're going to give me what I want. No, they gave you somebody that I don't always agree with them mix matching people, but I really feel like she does need somebody that's going to call her on her stuff sometimes. So, I just really feel bad for Chris.
Right.
All right, so now we have we see Noi and Steve.
Yeah, she's straddling the fence because, being the hopeless romantic that she is, she's falling for him. Now, we do see that she will go ahead and bring out the L word on Mr. Steve. And yeah.
So they meet, and then she goes and then she tells him that she loves him, and Steve is like, thank you.
Like, whoa, I like you a lot.
Yeah, so then the couples decide to go on a boat ride. And so, of course, they're on the boat ride, and Olajuwon, or shall we say Isaac, shows up and asks who has consummated the marriage. And so everybody starts pointing to Lindsay and Mark. What you think about that?
Lindsay was waiting on this moment. I think she felt that this was totally her moment. And I think that she definitely has no regrets. Of course, it was, totally consensual, mutual. It was on day 3, but they went for it. And I think she has no bones about it. And she wanted everybody to know, yes, we consummated it.
Right. So they're on the boat ride, and so then Michael is saying that, well, we're just taking the time, we're taking it slow, we're trying to get to know each other, and and so Jasmina was like, I want to build an emotional connection, and then Steve says, well, I'm going to respect my wife's decision, and I'm not going to reveal if we have done anything. So what you think?
I think that means that they just did everything just but that. They probably have come close because, again, Noi has just went ahead and said, I love you. Some things happened. It may not have been the thing, but some things happened.
So then the men split up. And so then we have Steve tells the guys, like, she's already saying that she loves me. He was like, I like her a lot, but it's only been 3 days. Right. And then so Michael asks, okay, so how do I find a balance? What do I need to do? And so Steve suggests to Michael, kind of take a step back. And I wonder if Michael is actually going to use this advice.
But I also can be a little bit worried about that because Michael in some ways is already withdrawn. So if you tell him to withdraw any further, it might be too far.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Okay, that's a good point. And so then Olajuwon states that he was testing Katina while they were working out earlier today. And so in my mind, I was like, don't try me. Try Jesus. Like, this is the kind of stuff you do when you're dating and you're not ready for marriage. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, let me test you. Let me see how you gonna respond to that. Let me poke the bear.
Yeah.
No, I disagree with Olajuwon on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other ways for him to see how she responds to situations. And there's going to be plenty more situations that's going to come up for him to see how she responds. No need to try to do this on the honeymoon and create chaos because it could have went, if Katina, wasn't the type of person she was, it could have went in the wrong direction.
Definitely could have went left. For sure.
Yeah. And so then Mark says that he feels like Lindsay is a lot and is a bit much. And what's so funny is the producers are showing Lindsay saying, oh, I think he's my soulmate. I think I'm falling in love. And Mark is saying something different, which we were wondering, how exactly does Mark really feel about this whole situation? What do you think, Ward?
I think, Lindsay, if you had to look at her in terms of geography, right? Lindsay is either at the North Pole or the South Pole. She's either one extreme or the other. And I really, really wish that Lindsay would show up at the equator, because I think that's right where Mark is waiting for her.
Yep. So Olajuwon asks Mark if he's able to reel her in. Like, is her energy too much? And he was just like, I don't know, I really don't know. So then we have the girls talking. And so then Lindsay, again, she's saying that she's falling for Mark. And then she starts to talk about the situation with Olajuwon. And then she's saying that she was triggered by the way that he was responding to her. And so Katina was like, no, hold up, wait.
Right.
Pause.
My man, I'm gonna stick beside
no, like, that's not what happened. She was like, no, you triggered yourself. Like, you created this situation. And Katina has to get up and walk away, because she's like, okay, like, you can tell that she's getting angry about the situation. And I guess, we know why, because there's been so many things that have taken place in society, especially with black men and things of that nature. And so I feel like that's why she had to speak up and say, like, no, we're not going to do this here.
We're not defending that behavior.
We're not going to do it. And so she, she tells Lindsay, she walks off and she comes back. And so then Jasmina's like, you're a good person, but you created this situation. You're not a victim in this situation. Exactly. And so then Katina basically says to her, you play victim, you poke people, and then you get mad when people respond. And so Lindsay is like, well, that's rude. And she was like, no, it's not rude. You're rude. You're the rude person.
I agree.
Rude. Yeah. So the couples come back together again, and then they play Never Have I Ever. And again, here we go with Isaac. Isaac shows up again and starts asking about threesomes, which is, I'm like, okay, why would you ask this question? Like, what are you trying to prove? And again, like we said in our previous interviews, it's like he is attention seeking. Like, he wants to just tell everybody, "Ooh, look what I did. Yeah, I had
I'm
a
that
threesome.
guy.
I'm that guy. Like, I've done all of these, these sexual things." And it's kind of like, okay, those are private things that people discuss. And have you discussed that with your wife yet, sir?
Well, not only that, did you leave that back in undergrad? Because either you've left it behind, Mr. Olajuwon, like you say you have, or you just keep taking these little short trips down memory lane. Like, are you sure you have let that lifestyle go?
Yeah.
And I mean, him asking that question the way he did, you could see the looks on his castmates'
Yeah, he
faces.
was not reading the room. He wasn't reading the room. And everybody was like, huh? Like, what kind of conversation are we having here? This is
3 days into a marriage.
Yeah, and this is not the conversation that we're trying to have. Like, we just got married and you already talking about bringing somebody else into the marriage. Like, we just got married.
Oh, man.
And he's like, okay, well, why would I deny my wife if this is something that she wants to do? Which I'm kind of like, is he trying to test Katina again to see what she's saying, what she's gonna say?
Well, her face said
embarrassment. Like, Lord, yeah. So then he starts talking about his other romantic escapades, that he slept with someone's mom and then the daughter, and that I just felt like the information was uncalled for.
It just went left.
Like I would have been all right if I never heard that in my whole entire life. Right? I think everybody on that boat was like, if I never heard that, I probably would have been okay.
Right. I'm just like, put my hand down. I never done anything, okay, ever. Period.
All right. So then the couples decide to have a romantic dinner, and then we see Michael and Jasmina. And so Michael tells Jasmina that he feels like she cut him off while they were on the boat. And she's like, no, I didn't cut you off. That's not what happened. And I'm not going to apologize the way you want me to apologize.
They are right back to Pettyville, to the little petty arguments about nothing.
Yeah.
But to her point, she absolutely did not cut him off. Like when they showed the playback, she didn't. And so I get it. You know, someone's accusing you of something that you feel that you didn't do. Michael was very adamant about that. And he not only wanted her to acknowledge it, he wants an apology for it. And so I can see how that was difficult for her. However, it's just no reason for all the little bickering that seems to keep coming up with those two.
Yeah, I think I was sitting there and I was watching. I was like, stand down. Like, both of y'all, stand down. Like I said, I just really feel like there's communication issues there. Jasmina has only been in long distance relationships, so she's really haven't been in, you know, a relationship with someone consistent being around a whole lot. And then we know that Michael is an introvert. So communication is going to be a big thing for them. And in my mind, I am at like, where are the experts? Somebody, where y'all at? Help these people out.
We need an emergency Zoom call.
Something like they're going to be divorced by the time they get back home.
They're not going to make
They're
it
not
at
gonna
this
make
rate.
it.
Yeah.
And so she apologized and she was like, well, I'm sorry if I made you feel that way, but you know, he's like, well, that's not an apology. So I'm just sitting here like, what y'all arguing about? Because y'all gonna have some bigger fish to fry.
Right. Wait till those real arguments
come. Like no.
No.
So she's saying that she doesn't even want to stay in the same room with Michael, and I'm like, that's
a bit much.
Is she pulling an Alyssa? You know what I'm saying?
Oh gosh.
Because I kind of feel like she's still stuck on what his sisters have said. You know what I'm saying? Like she can't move past that fixed mindset. This is what his sisters have said about him. You know, he's going to ruin it. And it's like, okay, take the time to get to know him for himself, or figure out, be solution focused and figure out, okay, if I know this about my spouse, what can I do to help in this situation? So again,
and learn to pick your battles.
And learn to pick your battles.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in this instance, she's going to have to figure out how she's going to navigate this situation, or this whole marriage will derail.
Yeah. So that was romantic dinner fail number 1. On to romantic dinner fail number 2.
Tell the people about it, Lord.
All right. So epic fail with the dinner with Mark and Lindsay. They come out. There's this beautiful setup, dinner for 2 on the beach. There's supposed to be all the romantic feels swirling. And Mark, I think after everything that transpired and him talking with the guys, he's just like, okay, let me just go ahead and address this elephant in the room. Lindsay, we got to dial it back. We got to slow down. We got to do the work. We got to get to know each other. You know, let's take it slow. Miss Lindsay was not having it. She was not happy to hear him say that at all. And in fact, her reaction was like an explosion. She totally went on the defense. And she's like, what do you mean? You know, dial it back. I'm saying I'm falling for you. You know, I'm pretty sure she's thinking we've consummated this marriage. Now you want to go backwards?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, this is not going to go over well. Like, because I feel like she was going to feel rejected. So I feel like maybe he needed to have a conversation with her, but maybe not, you know, not that particular night to have a conversation with her. But like you said, it is never a good time to really have that conversation with Lindsay. But I do believe that the conversation needed to be had. And he was nudging her and saying little things. And I think he was just like, okay, it's time to confront and have this conversation because she's not picking up what I am trying to say.
Right.
And so the conversation needed to be had. And so it was cringeworthy. It was hard to watch because she hit below the belt because she was like, I can pull back and you can stop farting it and clogging up the toilet. I was like, oh my.
Yeah, just went straight below the belt.
And I had to clutch my pearl. And so I said, now, Lindsay, that's not nice. And so, of course, she hit below the belt.
Right.
So she was like, I'm going to pull all the way back. And my name is Lindsay. And we can just start from there and just start dating, you know. So she didn't take it well. And I said, oh, okay, this is what her dad was talking about. And I was like, now, where's that little button that they gave
they need the button.
Hit the button and tell Lindsay to stop and calm down. Yes. Okay, so it didn't go well. But then we do see Olajuwon and Katina actually go out to dinner, and he asked her, you know, how does she feel about the threesome conversation. She said she didn't mind, and then, you know, he was like, well, I understand, I am, you know, a one woman man, I only have one ring, and so he's making all of these promises and things, and in my mind I'm sitting here like, is he trying to convince himself or who is he trying to convince? Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was given for me. But I really sincerely hope that Olajuwon shows up to be this man that he wants to be. Yeah. And so then they go back to the room, and then he has flowers on the bed with her initials K&D. And then he's, you know, to me sound like he's saying his vows again, you know, like he's telling her how much he cares about her. And then she's crying in her confessionals like, oh Lord, like, I think I'm falling in love. I said, not you too, Katina.
Well, when he pulled out that oil to rub those feet, he trying to be among the consummators.
He laid it on feet. And that's okay. You know. And that's okay because they are married, you know, so they do have to build some form of intimacy. They don't have to be, you know, have to engage in intercourse, but they do have to build that intimacy, which I feel is okay. And I think she said in the after party, Keisha Knight Pulliam asked her, she said, well, now what happened when y'all closed the door? And so she was like, nothing. I kept it the same. I wanted to make sure that we had an emotional connection. So I was like, okay, good girl. So,
foot rub made up for those bad cuddles, hopefully.
Yeah, oh yeah. So he's laying it on thick. You know, I think Olajuwon has a lot of growth opportunities there. I'm interested to see how he grows, you know. He kind of reminds me of Woody from season 11. Woody was just a tad bit more mature, but I do kind of like Olajuwon. I think he's funny. I do think he has his moments where he is very positive, like he was telling Katina not to engage Lindsay. So I don't want to bash the man too much. No, so I just think there's some growth opportunities for him, you know, to grow. So I am interested to see how everything turns out. And this is our review on Married at First Sight, season 14, episode 5. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week with our next review.
Thanks for watching.